We have in the studio Olabisi Olashoeton. Now, she's a certified emotional intelligence marriage coach and an NLP practitioner. She's the founder of Secret Place Wife platform. And we have her here to discuss the effects of comparing your spouse with others. Wow. This topic gets us a bill because there have been cases where you hear, arguments went sideways because of the fact that someone compared one spouse to another person's spouse or a past flame, or so to speak.
Or something you see online.
Yes, or someone you see online and all that, the way the person supposedly treats their own spouse to the public eye. So I guess it's a general consensus that it's not, okay, I can't say it's always a bad thing, but it's in most cases not the best idea to compare. Well, so what are the reasons that it's not the best reason to compare your spouse with others?
I mean, naturally, it starts to breed discontentment with your own life. Okay. And comparison is like the bane of your peace. So once you start comparing, you lose your peace, because then your eye is fixed on what is not instead of what is in your own relationship. Okay. Say, for instance, I like your hair. I start to wonder, is mine nicer? Maybe I should wear a weave next time instead of braids, Okay. But the truth is, my hair is nice, Okay. So I mean, naturally, comparison is almost like wired in us. It's like a social wiring. We can't say it's possible to stop. Okay. But what I usually say is, instead of comparing, just contextualize.
Okay.
So when you find yourself comparing, move then to context.
Okay.
So maybe Titi is wearing this lovely wig because she loves it, because it suits her frame. Okay. I'm wearing this because it suits my frame. Okay. So different doesn't always necessarily mean wrong. So we can't promise you that you would not compare again, but you can instead move to contextualizing so that you can then remove all the negative effect like discontentment, lack of peace, criticisms, and just lack of encouragement for your spouse.
Okay, so a lot of the time when we hear of comparisons, we often think better than, not as good as.
Yeah.
Is there a way to move away from that kind of... so you did say put it in context, yes. Yeah. But in my opinion, comparing to someone else or something else someone else has doesn't actually mean that someone else has a better lot than I do.
You can admire something that someone else has. There are influences in our life, actually. I can look at your marriage and think to myself, oh, that's great that a husband does that. That's fine. And I may not be able to stop it at the first level, which is comparison. Okay. But what then happens after I get that feeling, or I realize that you have something better or something that I want? What happens is usually the difference between, a successful marriage or not. Am I going to go back to my husband or my wife? I say, oh, you never do this. Look at the other person's boyfriend or husband. They always do this. Or am I going to take it and try to put it in context of my own relationship, in context of the knowledge that I have of my husband, his background, of my wife and her background, and try to look at, can this work for me? So it is that process of contextualizing and thinking within your own content that many people don't do, and that's the hard work. So we just stay comparing, oh, she has that now, why don't I have it? Okay. And then we go hard on what we have.
So what about, so I've heard from some counselors who talk about from the very beginning of a marriage, actually understanding the purpose of the relationship.
Yeah.
So I've also heard that once people start comparing, it means that they didn't actually have a purpose for being with that partner in the first place. And then they didn't understand the purpose that they had together, which is why they would start to, in some sense, covet what other people have. What would you say to that?
Not quite, because even people who have it good can see something in another relationship and think, oh, nice. I may have celebrated, my wedding anniversary nicely. Maybe we didn't take pictures. We went to a great place. And then all of a sudden, I come online, I see you having your anniversary, and I see flowers, balloons all over the place. And I'm like, okay, mine was great, but that's better, you know. So it's not necessarily because there's no vision, but it is important to always realign yourself to the vision.
Okay.
And set goals. So which is why it's important to have communication, honest communication, you know, regular marriage meetings if you can, so that you and your spouse can define for yourself what does healthy mean for us, what does good mean for us, based on the family vision that we have and personal goals, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay, so I wanted to go back. Oh, something just skipped my mind just now. Goodness me. Okay, so I wanted to go into parenting. So there are some parameters for parenting when it comes to a marriage. So if, for instance, your spouse is comparing your child, right, to another person's child, so you're still comparing you know, things that maybe your wife does with your children that another person's wife does with your children.
Yeah.
It becomes a very, very sore spot. But it also does feel like, you know, you want your child to have better goals, or you want your child to be better, which is why you're making basis for comparison.
Yeah, but better is better. I don't have to bring in another human being into better. And remember, he has to be based on goals, based on what is workable within the context of our own life. So the other woman may be doing so and so for their child. Maybe she's a stay-at-home mom. I work 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, you know, as the case may be. And I come home, you cannot expect the same, you know, attention or whatever. I will try to do my best within the time that I have. So it's important that couples don't sacrifice communication, honest communication, on the altar of desires or unattainable goals, you know. It's important to have this kind of conversation, which is why in my masterclass is something we're going to be discussing, because many people, especially in the age of this social media, you know, we're just coming online looking at, you know, highlighted perfection, things that people have curated, and judging our own lives, our successes, our uniqueness based on, you know, a still image or a 1-minute video clip of a couple, and saying, oh, I'm unhappy because I don't have that.
And you're comparing your years of marriage to a 1-minute clip, basically. I wish we could continue this conversation, but we can always take it online. Please tell us your thoughts on this issue of comparison of spouses. Please use our hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC. But for long story short, it's a no-no, right?
Well, not a no-no. You have to take it further. Know yourself, know your spouse, and know the context that you live in.
Thank you so much. Olabisi Olashoetan here.